I asked the porter at Balliol College, is he still a heretic? As I sat in that chapel and thought about it, I realized that in fact, Wycliffe would be judged to be a heretic today by all the universities in the world. Because we live in a postmodern age of great tolerance. But our age of tolerance tolerates only those who admit that they don't know the truth, that they are false, that what they believe is false in an absolute sense is true only in a relative sense. Anyone who says that he knows the truth is a bigoted fundamentalist. He is a heretic. He has no place in the modern university. So these universities, which are in a sense the modern university, which are a product of a tradition of tolerance, which is a result of these martyrs, these universities will not tolerate those men who died to create the modern world, including the modern tradition of tolerance, because they believed in truth. This is in some ways the most fundamental issue, because as we will trace the history of the last 500 years in particular, we'll go before to about 700-800 years in the next lecture, but today beginning with the Reformation, which Luther triggered off in 1517, so we're really talking about the last 500 years. One of the key issues for these people was, what is truth? How do we know? How do we know it? And does truth have ultimate authority, or do human beings have ultimate authority? So the question of authority and truth, they're interrelated, so I'll treat them as really as one, but that was the heart of the battle. To give you a bird's eye view of 2,000 years of Western history, from the perspective of source of cultural authority, where does authority come from in a given culture at a given point? When Jesus was born, Augustus Caesar was ruling Rome. As you remember, his uncle Julius Caesar had been treacherously killed by the Senate. So when Augustus became the ruler, he actually never called himself the emperor, but that is what he was. So when he became the emperor, he made sure that the Senate was systematically weakened and made impotent. He was the military leader. He became the political leader. He then went on to become the high priest, the religious leader. So he combined in himself all the sources of power at that point in history. He became the Lord. Caesar was Lord. And that continued for virtually 400 years after Christ. You can believe anything as long as Caesar permitted it. You can worship any way you like as long as Caesar permitted it. Jesus, of course, threw a challenge to Roman totalitarianism when he said, "Give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give unto God what is God's. This coin has the image of Caesar. Give that to him. Who is God's image? You're God's image. Give yourself to God." That challenge to totalitarianism, he claimed ultimate allegiance of everyone, Caesar claimed, and Jesus challenged it. And that, of course, set the stage for confrontation between church and Caesar, which continued battles on and off until 410 Rome was sacked. Now the Lord was gone. The Lord was dead. It was God that had failed. At that point, there was a great intellectual, moral vacuum in Western civilization. And of course, by West at that point, I mean Europe. America isn't part of the Western civilization at that time. So there is a great intellectual vacuum. The only organized